Hi everybody, it's Julie with You to Be Healthy today, and I'm going live again with my Tuesday tips at 10. And I wanted to come to you today to talk to you about something a little different. Normally when I come on my Tuesday tips at 10, I talk about health tips, how to make yourself a little healthier, some tips about maybe some exercise, how to prevent injuries, that type of thing. But we're getting into tax season, and I know a lot of people are facing maybe a tax bill or maybe even a decreased tax return, or maybe you're getting a bigger tax return. I don't know. But taxes are a sore subject for everyone, and I kind of wanted to give you a little bit of helpful tips and to invite you to something that you might find very helpful. So I remember being like your normal employee where you work a lot of hours and you try to make enough money to maybe even more than just survive. You just want to get ahead, right? And I remember being single and younger and working 50, 60 hours a week. And then you get your check and you're like, where did it all go? And who the heck is FICA, kind of thing. When you work all those hours and then you see even more taxes being taken out, it's really disheartening. And unfortunately, when you're an employee, you have very few tax shelters. You might get your personal exemption, you might get a couple of tax credits here or there, depending on your situation, but there's really nowhere else to hide. And you pay the government first, and then you get to live on what's left over. And that's just income tax, right? That we're not even talking about property taxes and sales taxes. I'm just referring to income taxes. But see, when you own a business, the government has a completely different opinion of you because they know the benefits of businesses and what they provide to the country. And they provide a lot of tax benefits to these business owners. And unlike a typical employee, you don't really get to deduct anything. Like if you're an employee, you don't get to deduct your mileage, you don't get to deduct your health insurance, you don't get to deduct, unless you're itemizing a lot of things and you use a lot of tools and you are able to deduct a large amount of things, you can't itemize your tools or your clothing allowance or anything like that. Mostly your personal deduction is bigger. But when you own a business, you get to deduct your expenses. And what it is companies and the wealthy people who own them know this. And what you get to do with a business, unlike an employee, is you get to pay yourself first, you pay your expenses first, and then you pay the government the tax on what's left over. So unlike an employee where you have to pay the government first and then live on what's left over, when you own a business, you pay your expenses first and then pay the government the taxes on the profits last. Very different. It's flip-flopped. So, the wealthy people like Robert Kiyosaki, Richard Branson, and Robert Kiyosaki is the guy that wrote that Rich Dad, Poor Dad, very wealthy man. Sir Richard Branson, you know him. He's that, really famous, is he a millionaire, billionaire? I'm not sure which, that runs the world, doing all the things, owns Virgin, that type of thing. Warren Buffett, everybody's heard of him. Bill Gates, and even Donald Trump. They all say, if you do not own your own business, you are missing out on huge amounts of money, And so a lot of people say, well, that's wonderful, but I don't have $1 million to go get a McDonald's franchise, or I don't have $300,000 to open my own coffee shop. That's okay. You can go that route. You can open a brick and mortar business like a coffee shop. It may cost you a couple $100,000 to get going. You got to find a building, you got to get all the equipment, you got to then advertise, you got to get patrons in the door. That's, typical business stuff. You get to be everything. You get to be the chief operating officer, you get to be the chief financial officer, you get to be the in charge of all the people, you get to be the head trainer. But guess what? You get to also do all the work and clean the bathrooms. So your CFO and your toilet scrubber. So these are all things part of the typical brick and mortar business. And that's fine. I'm not against that. I'm very much for supporting small business. And if you have that kind of capital and the ability to do so, go for it. But most of us don't have that kind of capital. And so are we stuck being employees? Are we stuck just with the government taking right off the top what we own? No. With today's techie world, you can have your own online business. And I know this sounds salesy, but I'm not trying to make it sound like that. They're really like all these rich guys that I mentioned before. They don't care what it is that you do. Just do something. Have some type of home-based business, either as a side gig to your normal job or as a full-time job. Whatever you want to go, go for it. And with today's online technological advances, you can do that. You can still keep your stable job with your health insurance and your benefits and your 2 weeks vacation and still build this thing on the side. So this is great. This would be wonderful for stay-at-home moms. When you have 2 or 3 kids, it's not worth it to go try to find a job at Kohl's because you got to pay all the babysitter expenses or you're wore out anyway. And who wants to pay someone else to raise your kids, right? College students, you could own your own online business and get the tax benefits from that, or go flip burgers. And there's nothing wrong with flipping burgers. That's opportunity there. But a lot of college kids, with the courses they have, it's very hard for them to go work that physical job and still stay up with their studies. And they need extra help to pay for their books and their tuition and everything. Retirees, people who don't have enough money to retire on. You're missing out if you don't have some type of a side gig to make extra money. So you're not becoming a Walmart greeter. Again, nothing against Walmart greeters. If you enjoy that job, that's wonderful, but that's not a job for everyone. Maybe you physically can't stand there and do that. Maybe you have some physical limitations that prevent you to do that, but you don't have enough to retire on. So what are you going to do? You need to get a home business that you can run online so you can take advantage of those tax benefits. If nothing else, take advantage of the tax benefits of what the government is providing. And so many people are just completely unaware of the tax benefits. And I can tell you from firsthand experience, the first few years of me being in business was comparable, just in the tax benefits alone, okay, was comparable to a part-time job. All right. So again, just the tax benefits alone paid me, in other words, allowed me to keep more of my own money than I ever did as an employee. All right. So, an online business doesn't have the overhead. You might have a couple computers, you might have a camera, you might have your internet, that type of thing, a phone, things you can't deduct as an employee. So, let's see. What are some other benefits? Less stress. I've known several businesses that, your brick and mortar type of business, those owners are in their business all day, 60, 80 hours a week, sometimes more. They live there because if it fails, then they fail. And what are they going to do? All right. I don't have that type of stress on me. My online business allows me a little bit more flexibility. And with the high-speed internet nowadays, you can take it anywhere. So more and more people are starting to catch on to this because they realize that the tax benefits are wonderful. But a lot of them don't know where to start. So what I suggest you do is learn all you can. And one of the things that we're going to do, we're going to interview a tax specialist tomorrow, Wednesday. I think it's, April 10th. And we're going to have a tax specialist come on, and she's going to explain a few things about the tax benefits of having a business. So some of the things you're going to learn in this is the cost benefits of having the home-based business, how to differentiate between personal and business expenses, because yes, you do need to separate them. You can't deduct, like, if you have one phone, your whole phone bill because you're talking to your mom all the time, but you do get to deduct a portion of it. and such. Some of the tax deductions you can apply and how to compute them. You know, so and some of the importance of record keeping, and really and truly, it's not hard to do taxes for business. It's pretty explanatory. It's common sense. You know, if I buy pencils, I can deduct that as an office supplies. But my phone, I can only deduct a portion of it if I'm using it for personal reasons. If I go meet a friend for lunch, now, is this lunch? Are we going to be talking about business because maybe my friend is tired of being an employee and you know, not making enough money and wants a side gig and she wants to know what I'm doing? That meal and the miles it took to get there are deductible. Okay, but normally if I was an employee, I can't deduct that lunch just because we happen to talk about work. All right, but if I go and talk to her about what I'm doing and share a few things and maybe set up another appointment to really discuss the details, that lunch is deductible because it's business related. All right. If I go to a convention, a meeting, that is deductible. If my website, that's deductible. So there's so many deductions, and I highly recommend that if you have questions, obviously seek a tax advisor. But there are just so many things that you can deduct when you own your own business that it just boggles the mind. Because you got to go from that employee mindset to business owner mindset, and you're like, I didn't know I could deduct all of these things. The government understands there's a cost of running a business, and they want businesses to flourish because that is the backbone of America. Small business is still the backbone of America, and you can have a part of it. And so I highly recommend coming on this webinar tomorrow and telling us, like, hey, I really am interested in learning about this. Tell me about some of the things about the tax advantages. So at least you're getting like your feet wet and you can kind of get an idea of going, wow, I had no idea about that. I think I can do this. I still have now more questions, but at least I know that I can benefit from tax breaks. Okay, so no sense in giving the government any more than you need to. So the details of the webinar are tomorrow night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time, and it'll be online. So look down in the comments for the link to register. And what it is, it's just going to ask you for your name and your email. Put that in there, and then you'll get an automatic message telling you how to log on tomorrow night. And it'll be on a Zoom platform. Zoom is a online meeting room that even large corporations all over the world use, and little old me gets to use as well. And it's completely safe and it's free, and no one grabs your information or anything. You don't have to worry about any of that. So if you have any questions, please get with me, but I hope you guys will register and at least come and see what some of the tax benefits are. Listen to a tax advisor and hear what she has to say. She's got 40 years in this business. So she's she's been around the block a few times and knows what the government's looking for and what you can do. All right. And if for some reason we can't get to all your questions tomorrow night, write them down and we'll get with her afterwards. If you cannot make that 8:30 live tomorrow, go ahead and register anyway. The reason being is if you go ahead and register and then shoot me a message and say, hey, Julie, my kid's got a soccer game at that time, or I'm out in California and I'm still working at that time, because you're 3 hours behind us. Just shoot me a message and tell me that. And if you register for it, I can send you the link for it afterwards because we record it. So you can watch the recording. All right. You guys have a great day. I know I ramble sometimes, but get with me. Tell me how you're doing. If you're watching this on replay, hit like, comment, say wow, or, I don't know, say I love taxes. I love paying taxes. I don't want a business. I want to be just an employee all my life and pay government all my check, No, I'm just being facetious there. But, tell us what you think, please. I really want to hear it. You guys have a great day. Take care.